How much power do these 4 performance cars really make? Well, to find out, I'm going to put them on the dyno and compare the power output to what the manufacturers say they should make. I'm also going to stick them on the scales to see how much they weigh, and once again compare this figure to what the manufacturers say they should weigh. Are we going to end up with some rather disappointed owners? Let's find out. Buy, sell,
car. Wow.
The first car we've got strapped to the dyno is a Volkswagen Golf R. So it's owned by Yasser. You think it's making the power it's supposed to?
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
I think it does, yeah.
Confident. Right, so it's got a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder, puts power to all 4 wheels via a 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox. Supposed to put out 320 horsepower and 420 newton meters of torque. And you're confident it's going to do it. Do you think it's going to go slightly above or slightly under, or a lot over or a lot under? What do you reckon?
My personal opinion on it is I think probably 325 on brake horsepower.
A little bit over. Well, let's get it started up and find out how much power it's really making. So yeah, so we've done 3 dyno runs on your car. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be very generous. I'm going to give you the best power figure from the 3 runs and the best torque figure from the 3 runs. Well, I'm not. We're going to get Essen from Onyx Performance, who are doing the dyno runs for us today. So you guessed that your car would be going slightly over 325 horsepower. What's the most horsepower it produced?
Okay, so the most horsepower that we got is 324.6 horsepower.
We can round that up to 325. So that's calculated using the system at the crank, yeah?
Yeah, at the crank, yeah.
So match the manufacturer's figure.
Yeah.
At the wheel, what's it doing there? 262?
So at the wheel, 262.
Let's round that up again to 263. So you guessed right, you got a feel for this kind of thing. Torque though, so it's supposed to do 420 newton meters of torque. What's the maximum torque it put out of those 3 runs?
Maximum torque, you got 478 newton meters.
Wow.
Does it feel like a punchy car?
It does feel punchy.
That's pretty impressive.
That is a lot of torque.
It's a lot of torque. And what's going on with this power graph there? If you can explain that, Essen.
The power graph is nice and smooth, so the power kicks in around 2,500 RPM, the boost is kicking in. When it gets to around 3,500 RPM, there is a slight little dip, which you probably won't notice on the road, and then the power drops off.
But after this dip, it's pulling hard all the way.
Yeah, it's pulling hard all the way, yeah.
Is it like 5,500 RPM?
Yeah, the power delivery is quite smooth.
But the most important thing is, it's doing slightly over what the manufacturer said, so you can be happy about that. However, we're not done yet. It's not just about power, it's also about weight. So how are you feeling? You're going to get on the scales. Well, you can't.
It's probably going to be around what manufacturers are saying.
Okay, I think the exact opposite, but let's find out.
Let's find out.
Right then, Yasser, we've had your car on the scales. Now, it's supposed to weigh in at 1,551 kilograms. You thought it'd be pretty much bang on the money. We've got Chris from AWM. It's a company which weighs anything, big or small. What does this car actually weigh?
1519.
Oh, so seems below. However, the manufacturer's number is something called DYNO, which accounts for the fact that it's got fluids and 90% full of fuel. Your car is about 40%. So when we factor in the missing fuel, what would it come to?
1540.
1540, so it's still ever so slightly lighter than what Volkswagen claims. So a bit more power and a little bit lighter. So the claimed power to weight ratio for this car would be 210 horsepower per tonne, but your car, 211 horsepower per tonne, which pretty much is bang on the money, isn't it?
I'm happy with that. I'll take that.
It's nice to see that Volkswagen aren't lying. So Volkswagen is pretty much bang on the money with its power figures. But what about BMW? Well, we're going to find out now with this new M240i. It's owned by Jazz. It's got a 3-litre straight 6 turbo. It's supposed to put out 374 horsepower. I think it might be putting out more. What about you?
Yeah, I'd like to think that it's putting out a little bit more, probably closer to 400, I reckon.
400? Well, we're going to find out about that. This, once again, is a 4-wheel drive car. It's got an 8-speed automatic gearbox, so the dyno will be accounting for that.
Yep.
And we'll see exactly what numbers it produces. Right, we've run the BMW up and we've got the graphs. We've got 3 runs here. They look very consistent, but let's just cut to the chase. What was the most power we got out of it?
The most power on run 4 is 375.3 horsepower.
So 1 horsepower more, not quite the 400 you were looking for, but something is a lot bigger than we expected, and that's the torque. So this car is supposed to put out 500 newton meters between 1900 RPM and 5000 RPM. Down at 1900 RPM, it's not making anywhere near that, but peak torque, what is peak torque?
The peak torque is 571 newton meters.
0.9,
0.9, all right.
572 newton meters, and when's it making that?
3,500 RPM.
That's a lot more torque than BMW is saying. That's why this car feels so blooming quick. It does feel really punchy, doesn't it?
It feels really, really punchy. It pulls really strongly through the gears from low down, yeah.
These graphs are really consistent, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really
A
consistent.
bit more consistent than the Golf.
Yes, definitely.
Not so much in terms of dips like we saw in the Golf. Actually,
there is
am I
a little
wrong?
dip at 3,800 RPM. They're quite consistent, I'll be honest with you.
Good engine. You pleased with that?
I'm pretty happy with that, yeah.
Anyway, power is just half of the equation. Let's get your car on the scales. It's supposed to weigh 1,690 kilos. Do you think it was over or under that?
Slightly over. Definitely don't think it'll be under.
I don't think it's going to be under either. What is the reality, Chris? How much did it weigh on the scales?
Weight is 1721 kilos.
But it's only got 60% fuel in it, hasn't it? So if we calculate for 90% fuel,
So the 1733.
that's quite a lot. That's like
That is a
half a
lot.
person, isn't
That
it?
is a lot.
Is that more than you were thinking? Maybe it's the purple paint. It's all the aubergines that go into it. You know what that means to your power to weight ratio. So according to the manufacturer's figures, 221 horsepower per tonne.
Right.
Your car, 216 horsepower per tonne.
It's no good, is it?
Do you know what though? What you're really going to feel on the road is that torque, and the fact that it's like doing a bunch more torque than it's supposed to is sort of
it
what
feels
really
great.
matters.
It feels great to drive. It's four-wheel drive. It puts all the power down. So I'm happy with it.
Even though it's only got 5 horsepower per tonne more than that Volkswagen Golf. Let's move on to the next car. Next up, we've got an Audi RS3 and it's owned by Zane. So your car's got a 2.5 litre 5-cylinder turbo. It's supposed to do 400 horsepower, 500 newton meters of torque. What do you think your car's going to do?
So I reckon about 410, 415.
Confident.
They're pretty quick, yeah.
Really? You reckon you're
I
going to beat
think
the
so.
BMW then?
I think so, yeah.
Right, well, we're going to find out. We're going to run it up and see what it's really making. We've got the numbers on your car, Zane. Give us the result.
First run, 413 brake horsepower. Second run, 413.3 brake horsepower. And the third run, 407.5 horsepower.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah.
The top figure is 413.3, so 413 horsepower, which is 13 more than the standard 400, which Audi quote, which is good. This is the best so far, Zane.
Did say it's going to be about 410, 415. So it's just about right.
Also, though, what we need to talk about is torque. What's the maximum torque that we got out of this
The
car?
maximum torque we got is 542 newton meters of torque.
We're there. That's 0.5.
Yep.
We're going to round that up. Then we're going to give you 543 newton meters, so 43 newton meters more than Audi claim. Did more horsepower than the BMW, so you beat the BMW. That's the key thing. BMW produced more torque, 1 extra cylinder. You see? How do you feel about that?
It doesn't make a really difference.
So I'll just shut up. What does really matter though is the graph.
So what I'd say is the torque is nowhere near as smooth as the BMW. But as you can see here, at 3,500 RPM, the torque is dropping off. So there's quite a big dip there. That's not a small amount. You will probably notice that if you're driving it, you really know your car. And then when it gets past 4,000 RPM, once again, it starts dropping off. Well, the power is dropping off there, but it's quite a dip.
When I reviewed this car, I did notice there's this sort of like little bit of a dip in the power delivery, but still your car is in the lead at the moment. So well done. But it's not over yet because we've got to weigh it. We're going to find out the power to weight ratio. Do you think it's going to be heavier than Audi says or lighter?
I think it probably slightly lighter.
We've had Zane's car on the scales. We're going to find out what weight it is. Now we know it's already producing more power than it's supposed to, but all that could be about to be undone. You thought it was going to be a bit lighter than they say, but what is the reality? It's supposed to weigh 1,575 kilos, but Chris...
1,617.
Oh, wow. Oh, but it gets worse because you've got 65% full fuel tank. We've got to do it up to 90%. So when you take that into account, Chris,
1628.
Oh no.
You know what? I'm not too fussed. As long so far my car's performing the best. So, you know what?
It's all about the power.
You know what? A little bit of weight. I'm not too fussed.
The interesting thing is though, right, the quoted horsepower per ton for this car is 254, but yours produces more power, but it's heavier. When you take that into account, the reality is it's still 254 horsepower per ton. So you've got the same power to weight ratio as it's supposed to have, it's just it's producing more power, but it's a bit heavier. So you're doing better than BMW, which was less horsepower per ton than it was supposed to be doing. And it's not quite as good as the Golf, which was just 1 horsepower per ton more than it was supposed to be. You should be pretty pleased. There's one more car to do though. This one's for the Mercedes fanboys. Finally, we come to the Mercedes AMG A45S, which is owned by Paul here.
Hiya.
Hello, Paul. So your car, it's supposed to do 421 horsepower.
That's correct, yeah, 500 newton meters of torque.
Oh, you know your stats.
I sure do.
From its 2-litre hand-built turbocharged engine. And it's got an 8-speed dual-clutch automatic gearbox, 4-wheel drive. Okay, so do you think your car's going to be do over or under? What's your prediction?
I'm going to say under, I'm going to say 417.
So everyone else has guessed over. Why are you being a little bit pessimistic?
Because I've been on forums before and other people have put them on the dyno and they have been a little bit down.
Really?
Yeah.
How about torque? Was that down as well?
No, the torque seemed to be about right, if not a little bit over.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're about to find out now, Paul. Let's do it. Let's check out the numbers for the AMG. So this is the final car, Paul.
Yeah.
All the other ones have been pretty close to what the manufacturer
Yeah.
says and up on torque. You thought yours would be slightly below in terms of horsepower.
417, I think I said.
Essen, what did you find?
It is pushing, on the first run that we done, 381.9 horsepower. The second run, 386.4, and the last run, 382.8.
Not very good. We take the highest one, which is the 386.4, but that's still like, what, 35 horsepower off?
Yeah. What is going on there?
What is going on there?
I think a strongly worded letter to Mercedes-Benz. What is it they say? Where there's blame, there's a claim.
How old is your car?
I've had it from you, so 2.5 years old, 25,000 miles.
25,000.
So it's proper bedded in.
This is the biggest story though, it's the torque. So all the other cars so far producing over in terms of torque.
So it's pushing 418 newton meters of torque on the first run, 0.3. Second run, 416.4. And the last run, 417.3. So very consistent torque figures.
Consistently bad.
Yeah,
'cause it's
consistently
supposed
bad.
to do 500 newton meters peak torque. Glad I'm not in your car on the way home because there's going to be a bad, solemn mood.
Go up for sale tonight, I think. Get an RS3.
before this video comes out. Do you know what? I love the engine in this car. To drive, I prefer it than the RS3. I don't know if yours is just an anomaly or I don't know what's going on, but maybe, right, it might not all be bad because if the car is a lot lighter than Mercedes claim, maybe the power to weight ratio will be fine and that's what really matters. Yeah. So let's get on the scales and hopefully we can make things sort of not as bad as they actually are. Now we already know it's quite a bit down on power. Last thing you need is for it to be up on weight.
Yeah. It's going to need a serious weight to make up for it.
Yeah, I think you need to like remove half the interior.
Yeah.
But anyway, the weight of the car is supposed to be 1,660 kilos, but what did you measure, Chris?
1653, Paul.
Right, okay. That's not too bad.
But that's the fact that your car has 65% full fuel tank. We've got to measure it at 90%. So when we account for that,
1669.
that's not too bad. It's like 9 kilos over. The BMW and the Audi were over quite a bit, but they weren't down on power.
No.
You know, when I do the maths, your car's supposed to have 254 horsepower per tonne, but because it's down on power and a little bit over on weight, it's actually got 231 horsepower
That's
per tonne.
shocking, isn't it? That is bad.
Well, the RS3 was doing 254 horsepower per tonne. That's what it was supposed to do, and that's what it actually had when you worked it all out. So less horsepower per tonne, your particular car, than that RS3, as we've measured it today.
Yes.
I think you're the most disappointed overall the owners here, aren't you?
Yes.
I'm sorry about that, but thanks for coming anyway. Now, if you'd like to compare all the figures for all the cars that we've filmed today, and you'd like to see the actual results that we got, then pause the video now for a comparison table. Now, if you'd like to see the cars drag racing, to see what that performance actually plays out to in real life on a drag strip, then click on the pop-out banner up there to watch a drag race with all 4 of these cars. Not these very cars, but some of the cars that we've filmed before. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think about the results in the comments below. If you click on those windows there, you can watch some more videos, and on that box there to go to CarWow to sell your car. You should upload some photos, give a brief description, then our dealers from all over the country will bid on your car. It's dead easy. Thanks for watching.